This session will introduce you to how to get started with Linux Link subscription for your WinPath3 processor. The screen that you're looking at right now is a dashboard that you will see typically when you log into your Linux Link account. I'm logged in as a demo user, and this is my dashboard. There are a couple of very interesting and important documents that you will find on your dashboard. There are recently read docs. There are also a couple other documents that you can start with, like getting started with Linux Link document, getting started guide for Wintegra WDS3. The Getting Started with Linux Link will provide you a high-level overview of what Linux Link offers and how you can very quickly accelerate your development with Linux Link. I advise you to spend a few minutes with that document. There is also Getting Started guide for Wintegra WDS3 that will take you step by step through a process of setting up your host platform and then deploying a default Linux image from one of the starting points that I'll show you in a second directly on your WinPath3 reference system. Speaking of starting points, on the left-hand side, you can find that there are several pre-built starting points. Today we offer a development-ready starting point, which provides native toolchain, native compilation environment so that you can do development direct on your WinPath3. There are also two small footprint starting points for WinPath3, one which is configured as initram file system, the other one that you can mount as an FS. I would advise to start with initram FS based solution. So what you do is you can download this starting point, but before you do that, well, let's navigate to that starting point. There are several files that you will find in the output. This is a typical output from a factory build. And each of the starting points. There is a binary Linux kernel image. There is a root file system. In the case of initram FS based solution, the root file system is combined with Linux kernel into a single image under the name of VM Linux. You can see that the size of this file is over 5 megs. With this file, you won't need any other file to be mounted or present on your WinPath3 platform to fully boot Linux kernel. So what you do is transfer this image to your target platform and you can directly boot into it and you will get the prompt. A couple other files on this screen I want to mention. Very important file is this SDK installer that ends with a .sh. This is a software development kit that will set up your development environment for application development and for you to be able to rebuild a Linux kernel or your benchmark. The SDK installer will install on your host a Linux kernel, a root file system, and a cross toolchain with all the APIs in it, the same APIs that are embedded in the root file system. The last file that I wanted to point out in this output is called factory.tar.gz. This is a desktop factory tool with which you can perform many different customizations, and I'll show you in the next few minutes how to add additional packages to your initramfs based starting point and make sure that your initramfs solution is ready for a WDDI driver from Wintegra. Before we start working with the desktop factory tool, I wanted to point your attention to a host requirements file. That host requirements file is present in our system. You can search for it in this search box by simply entering host requirements keyword. This file will have information for a variety of distributions, Debian, Ubuntu, Red Hat, and when you run those different commands for your host OS, that will ensure the full compatibility of your host OS with the factory desktop tools. So here we are in a Linux prompt. I've already downloaded factory tools. I uncompressed them on my local hard drive, and now I can issue a command make help. Desktop factory tools are kconfig and autoconf based, which is a technology that is very familiar to all of you who develop Linux kernel. There are several options that are available for you. One of those options is called check system. Let's issue that command first. To ensure that our system is fully prepared to host desktop factory tools. As you can see, I've already run all the commands that the host requirements document asked me to, and I have run successfully the check for desktop factory tools. So in the next step, I'm going to run make menu config. That will bring up a desktop factory tool configuration screen through which I'm going to be able to modify my design. This technology, just like with Linux kernel, allows me to search for different terms. Just by hitting a /, I can access the search configuration parameter screen, and I can search for any keyword. Let's search for Wintegra. As you can see, there's a package called Wintegra init loopback, and it's already enabled in my work order. For you to ensure that your initramfs based root file system is fully compatible with WDDI driver that will integrate perfectly, you have to double check that this package is present. You can find this package, as you can see here, at the target software packages, networking, testing, and debugging. Let's navigate to that folder. Software packages, networking, testing, and debugging. And as you can see, Wintegra init loopback package is already selected. I can bring up help. This package will add a test application to my root file system, but it will also ensure that all the device nodes required by the WDDI driver are in place. Now, I can also specify other packages to be included in my root file system. As you can see, there are many different options that Timesys desktop factory tools offer. You can choose from different categories and then subcategories. You can also search for a specific feature. Let's search for PHP, for example. As you can see, PHP is not enabled. Let's add that package to our design. It can be found under Target Software, Software Packages, Runtime, PHP. Runtime, and PHP is right here. To add the package, you just have to put a check in a box next to the package, and Desktop Factory Tool will take care of all the cross dependencies for this package. All I have to do is exit the factory, and remember, you have to save the final version of your work order before you leave. So let's say yes. At this point, I can run make show packages to double check that my work order right now includes the PHP and the Wintegra init loopback package. As you can see, both are here, and all I have to do is say make. The desktop factory is going to fetch all the necessary sources, will run the build on your Linux host, and will produce a couple of images. The Linux kernel with initramfs combined, and it will also create a CPIO file for your root file system. But again, you don't have to do anything special with a CPIO file, as the root file system is already combined with your Linux kernel. This is how easy it is to modify your initramfs based design, and how easy it is to add packages, customize it, and you can also add your own applications.